Joining us. I'm Matt. I'm going to be off camera and kind of popping some questions over here for a bunch of people who are pop the question. I'm not proposing to anyone in case that was misunderstood. My apologies. Off to a great start here. All right. So I've got with me three of our people from the Weird Cast and Isaac, who is a regular from down here in Austin. So uh, everybody, feel free to introduce yourself. First off, we've got Lexi. Lexi, what'd you do?
What I do, I went on the strip on Friday and then basically ran around the shopping area because I'm the shop crowd, of course.
Nice. All right. Over next up, we've got Joe. Joe's been on casting or playing games several times on stream. Joe, I understand that you played in both the singles and the doubles GT. Yes.
Yeah, no, me and a bunch of other people from the Weird Cast and some Weird Knobs went down. We played in doubles and we played in the singles event, and yeah, it was a blast. We're going to talk about it a little bit tonight.
All right, Isaac. That's our third person here. Isaac also played in the singles and double event. Um, uh, Isaac, say hello.
Hello.
Perfect. All right. Um. Okay. So with that in mind, general itinerary for the night is we're going to go through the singles championship first. We're going to talk a little bit about other stuff that you can do at LVO beyond just playing in games themselves. Uh, then we'll go through the doubles event and we'll do kind of a quick event wrap up. So, with that in mind, rather than going through each individual game in detail, we're going to try to get everybody's favorite game that they played in that specific event, and we'll get a more detailed rundown of the highlights instead of catching the yes, I cast all my spells, I won all the priorities, the other guy failed all his saves, the game was over in 20 minutes, and then I went and you had a beer. That's always cool when it happens, but let's focus on the closer games.
Right.
All right. So, how was everybody's flight? You make it all up there in one piece.
We all
Isaac?
sat next to each other. Oh yeah, Isaac didn't sit with us. Well, he didn't go
Yeah.
on the same plane as us.
No, I was supposed to leave 2 hours earlier than y'all. Yeah, I believe in the same time. I got there about the same time. So aside from that, it was fine.
Nice. Were you all staying at the same hotel as the was were you all staying at the same place the event was, or did you have a commute each day?
No, we all stayed at the Rio. I think we're all in the same tower too.
Yeah, we were all at the same tower.
Hmm.
And me at the Rio helped a lot because I could not imagine trying to meet my army every
N-
day.
Nice. Yes, that having been to several GTs myself, the extra time to get to the location is more than you think, especially on day 2 when you're already tired.
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
the the event was like on the far side of the Rio from where the hotels were. So every day it was, I mean, not a crazy walk, but I mean, if you walk it 2 or 3 times a day, it gets tiring, especially if you're toting an army around.
Yeah, you got your steps quick. I think I touched my steps on Friday. It was like 15,000 or something just from walking back and forth all day.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sounds about
up
right.
and down to the rooms to grab stuff and then come back.
All right. So give me a quick rundown. So you've mentioned that you're going back and forth across the Rio here. Give me an idea of scale here. How many different events was LVO? How many people? Any idea?
Mhm. Yeah, so in terms of people, I think AOS had close to 300 after drops. Um, so that I think it was originally around like 340, 350. There was some really inclement weather leading like the days up to, which caused a lot of people to have to drop. And then, you're always going to get some drops right before an event, especially a big event like that, where, you're having people fly in from actually all over the world. Oh, I'm 100 people off, apparently. AOS was 350 people after drops. Thank you, Spencer. Keep me honest.
Yeah, I knew it was one of the biggest AOS events in the country, but apparently just straight up the biggest AOS event to date in the world.
Mhm. Um, I might be off on these numbers as well, but I'm pretty sure the 40K scene had like 1,500 players, and they took up like an entire ballroom. Like
It was
it,
bigger than the ballroom. It was huge.
I mean, yeah, I say ballroom, and people are probably thinking like auditorium, but I mean it was colossal. Like the area was absolutely insane. So much so, I think they weren't all in a single room.
No,
Um,
they were in 2 separate ones, I believe.
yeah, and for Rio typically houses like these really big events just because they're one of the few hotels in Vegas that has, tens of thousands of square feet available for like events like this. And we packed out I think 3 of the 4 hall rooms for this. So it absolutely insane. Um I think there was over like 30, maybe 40 different systems that were being played over the course of the 4 days.
Yeah, I know another record that was set at LVO was for Kill Team.
Mhm.
They had their largest event ever with over 150 people going to it.
I mean that's a lot of people for Kill Team.
Yeah, well, that's great. And it sounds like they with the 30 to 40 event different game systems. Clearly, we are outside of just Games Workshop stuff. I think I heard MCP mentioned at some point.
Yep,
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
CP was there.
MCP, there's Legion, and the Armada, and that genre of systems too.
Mhm. A lot of bolt action historical games were there as well.
Oh, Legion was there, wasn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's
So
great.
yeah,
All right, so yeah, having been to Adepticon, I'm familiar with that kind of scale of tournament or scale of event, I should say. The tournament obviously bigger than the Adepticon AOS event, but these things just keep growing. So we'll see if the guys up in the Midwest have an answer to that next year, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
And Spencer's saying 910 for 40K, which is insane.
right.
All
No,
right,
so many
so
people.
just to set this, that kind of sets the stage for everybody. The hall was huge, the event was huge, and the rest of the convention was just that much bigger too.
Mhm.
So let's go ahead and take our first focus for the night. Let's talk about the singles championship, and that's going to put the spotlight on Joe and Isaac. So, Joe, walk us through what you were playing and what were your goals and expectations for the event here going in.
Yeah. So I brought Slaves to Darkness, Knights of the Empty Throne, ton of Erengard, Knights, some support heroes, and Scarbrand as my kind of centerpiece model of choice. Very fast list. It wants to pin enemies in the deployment zone, come in with Varangard, do a big fight twice, and then a round afterwards, Scarbrand wants to connect on the flank where people are starting to push out of, or where I have a big threat pinned, to kind of seal the deal.
Got it. You said that was Knights of the Empty Throne, right?
Yeah, run in charge on all my cavalry.
Gotcha. So what was your goal for the tournament? Were you looking for expecting a 3-2, or just bring in a new army and play a bunch of games and don't worry about it too much?
Yeah, so my goal for every event is to 4-1. I don't quite think I'm a 5-0 player yet. I uh I I don't really have that mentality, so a 4-1 is kind of where I expect to kind of peak at most events. I'll settle for a 3-2, that's a winning record. This event I went 1-4, so not really where I was hoping to. I kind of got those numbers backwards.
Oof. So what went wrong? You think was it just rough matchups, rough dice, just good opponents, food poisoning?
So I wish I could blame it on anyone else but me. So my first round opponent, let me pull his name up.
All I know is this OBR was a nasty thing for everybody.
Right, here we go. Michael Venegos, who's on OBR, one of the tough crowd guys. So super cool dude. I knew I was gonna like the guy as soon as I got to the table, and he's like, "Hey, this is me. I'm here to win games and have fun." And I was like, "That's the kind of mentality I'm here for." So there we were. Plays OBR. He's on the 9 more gas list. It's a dangerous list. Tom piloted it to, I think, a win in Florida with a ton of people. So here we go. I deploy in a way where I'm like, okay, um, if I have to take first turn, I have options. If I can give it away, I'm not gonna have to worry about 8 more gas, slamming down on top of my army. He deploys, he puts his 8 more gas up. I'm like, it's 18 inches in between those 8 more gas to my 6 Vanguard. I was like, I'll take the turn. I'll buff him up. I'll send him in. We're Gucci. I'm pretty confident I can kill these 8 more gas on the fight twice. So, pop my Chaos Familiar on my Sork Lord for an extra cast. Draw from power. Immediately miscast and kill my Sork Lord. Lose my grand strategy, top of 1. And I'm like, well, not really how I wanted to start the event, but here we are. I decide at this point, I'm 1 foot in. I might as well put the second one in. I throw Oracular on them. I hit them with Horror Frost. They run in. They kill like 5 Morghast. They get clapped back. I lose the Varangard. And then the game falls apart a turn after that. And I was like, well, that's on me, That's how that happens. So there's my first loss. Cool. Game 2 comes around. I'm playing against Martin Orlando, a really big painter out of Atlantic City. I think he got best painted this year, or something like that. I know he did very well in terms of paint. Game goes according to plan. It is a slaves on slaves matchup. He's got Chosen. I got Varangard. He has Bellicor. I have Scarbrand. No, Atlantic City isn't even real.
So pretty close to a mirror in a lot of ways then.
Yeah, very similar. Very, very. He's played Knights of the Empty Throne. He has 6 Varangard. I have 9. He has 10 Chosen. I have 10 Knights. He has Bellicor. I have Scarbrand. So I win the drop off. I give him priority. I go for the double. I get the double, and he pops Dark Master on the block of 6. I expected that. I pre-planned for that and, buffed up the unit of 3 Varangard. They go in, they kill Bellicor. Feeling pretty happy about that. Scarbrand goes into the 10 Chosen, which were chilling in a Wildwood. I know he can only get 5 Nurgle Chosen, no buffs on them, no command points or anything, so just 5 regular Nurgle Chosen. They pop off and like 1-tap Scarbrand without the fight twice, and I am shook after that. I lose the
wow.
game. Yeah, I lose the game. I lose the game because of that. I have no answer for 10 Chosen. Dark Master sticks around. He gets it through the rest of the activations. So pretty sad about that. I lose
I would
that
have
game.
expected that they kill him on the second swing. The first one, they're chosen, but
Yeah.
Scarbrand's at least got 15 health, 14 health.
16 wounds. I had a command point for all out defense, so he was on his 4-ups, from there. But yeah, no, those 5 Chosen popped off, and it was crazy. So after that second loss, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to come out of this event with a great record. I'm just going to change gears. I'm going to shift down. I'm going to go full send on all of my matches, and I'm just going to try to have fun with my opponents and just make new friends for the rest of the event. And it went spectacularly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So changing attitudes, shake it off. Don't get inside your own head and just get mad about it. Have fun anyway, and just change your goals.
Yeah.
That's a good approach.
Yeah, so that's how that's kind of what went for me. And I had a really fun game round 5 with my opponent. So,
Well, that's good. All right. So first off, good on you for taking a rough situation and turning it into something that is still a fun event and not ruining your whole weekend, because that's entirely too easy to do. And it just leaves you coming home angry after you spent a bunch of money to supposedly have a good time.
right.
Instead, finding a new way to have fun, that's the right way to approach it.
No, I decided I needed a day 2 mentality day 1, and it kept the event fun for me.
Good for you. Well, all right. Thanks for the recap. Isaac, sounds like your turn. What were you running?
I was running Night Haunt. but not normal night hunt.
But not the night haunt everyone's thinking of.
Yeah, I was running night hunt. I had a Kurgast, Crusader, a two Banshee, um, just a couple of these units called crossbows, just 80 of them. A bunch of MSU, and then 215 blocks so I could buff up and try to shoot people off the table. Other than that, two Banshees to help with my units being affected by spells, and of course Kuros himself to be a big beat stick and make those crossbows battle line.
Yep, makes sense. And I believe you were Emerald Host, right?
Yep, Emerald hosts for random damage on units I really wanted dead. So I would kind
Gotcha.
of put a time clock on some of my opponent's heroes, knowing that they'll take really 2D or D3 more wounds at the end of each round. Helps to kind of be like, hey, your general's gonna probably die by round 3.
Yep, lots of chip damage, a bunch of range projection to try to follow up on that, and a pile of MSU units so that you can do multiple extra charges for all those debuffs and make people play games with trying to be very precise about exactly how many wounds they need to kill this unit of 5 without wasting damage or without undershooting it. And then you had a way to bring them back, right?
Yeah, I had the command trait, so once a game with 4 up, I get 1 to 15 blocks back. So I'll get 8 of them back, and they immediately go to shooting again. And I also had an arcane tome, which I always joked I was gonna cast Mystic Shield, but it was really just for a battle tactic.
Got it. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't guess a joke, Nighthawk can't benefit from Mystic Shield.
Nope.
You can still
Um,
cast it though.
you can still cast it. I did one
Mhm.
game just because
Yeah.
I had the cast.
Oh, fair enough.
It's that or Arcane Bolt. About
Yep.
it. All right. So, what were you going into the tournament with a goal? What were you shooting for?
So my goal this tournament was a 5-0. My list is unique enough that I know a lot of people running into it are gonna go, what do I do to this? And try and use that to my benefit to win games. Um, but really, what I was shooting for was a realistic 4-1. I felt like this list could go and do that, and it had enough potential to do damage before dying that I didn't have to really worry about um, losing most of my list. And there's really only 2 games, the 2 games I lost, that I did lose most of my list. Other than that, it was mostly intact. All my winning games were.
All right. So, it sounds like you kind of you came to swing for the fence. You brought something off meta in order to catch people a little bit off guard. And it worked for the most part. Came a little bit short on what you were really hoping for, but didn't do bad.
Yeah. And then one of my losses, I got the matchup, and I was like, okay, cool. This is probably a loss. And I was against Nate Trentinelli. I was like, I'm not going to outnight him. Unfortunately, that was my round 5, which was kind of my deciding factor into a 4-1 or a 3-2.
Yeah, that is the challenge of bringing an off meta list and hoping that you can take people by surprise with it. Is when you find someone who goes, "Oh yeah, I've played a ton of Night Haunt." Okay,
Yeah.
well, so much for that.
But yeah, I went 3-2. So my wins, I beat Gets twice. And then my proudest moment, I outshot KO with that list.
Nice.
Uh, I killed all the thunderers out of the boats. I killed any guy who tried to pop out of a boat, and on the end, I just finished up and cleaned up the rest of the boats. Other than that, my 2 losses were against Vexbomb, and of course Nate Trinkinelli's Night Hunt list.
Mhm.
But really, the Vexbomb list, if I won the Prio into 4, was a winning game for me. I just got doubled in a turn where I really couldn't, because he saw enough Nihilers on the board to do more mortals to me on the charge with his Nihilers and kind of wipe out the rest of my units I had left that game.
Got it. I remember hearing during the event that that game looked real close, so that explains what happened. Then it's a pivotal priority, make or break on the game.
Yeah, that was probably my closest game this tournament.
So can you walk us through that a little bit? I know Vex Bomb's a list that people have had as kind of a boogeyman. I've played against it myself once in a mission that happened to grossly favor playing against Vex Bomb, and that's kind of what kept me in it. Uh, let's go ahead and do a quick deep dive on that game, and then yeah, walk us through that.
So he was running the classic, okay, 5 Night Vexers, all with the banner to do D3 more wounds, 6 inches from a point. Unfortunately, I got one of the maps where no matter where I put my guys, they're going to get hit. So I just tried to play in a way that I was trying to screen for the Nithers, who's going to eventually drop down, because his other part of the list was 7 units of MSU and Nithers with shields. So every time they drop, they do the same thing on a 3-up, D3 more wounds to anything within 10 inches. And he also had the, I don't know forget what he's called, but one of the Stormcast heroes that lets him drop 7 inches away.
Imperative.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just know as the guy with the doggo. And then 2 units of Vanguard Hunters to kind of play all those shooting out on that list. So we deploy. I deploy a lot of my units in like little lines that are all like 6 inches away from each other. That way, whenever he does drop down, even if he clears off a screen um, with the Vexor's top of one, there's another one behind it. He takes it in the beginning of the movement phase, kills about 20, 25 of my crossbows. I'd put, before the game started, I put the 215 blocks up and then the Kuros up. That way I have my big melee hammer and I have both my big shooting. So up in the air. And you just can't touch them. And then, unfortunately, I took just enough damage that when he dropped down his Anothers, he finally cleared that hole he needed to get the last 2 Anothers he dropped that turn in. So he got into my general in the back, and he got into one of my other heroes as well. He definitely he managed to kill the general, and by the end of turn 1, he had killed just under 40 crossbows in my general. I get to my turn and say, okay, I need to kill as much of his stuff as I can, but I'm Rend 1 against a bunch of 2-up saves. So I do Let into the Maelstrom and just hope I can anti-save stack enough on the charge that his armor save isn't going to matter. And that's what I kind of do to the units that are closest to me. I take it, I immediately drop the 15 blocks in his back line, and I drop Kuros in his back line as well. I could drop Kuros 9 inches away from his general, saying, okay, you kill my general, I'm going to try to return the favor and charge to kill your general. And that's what happened. Kuros gets the roll, Kuros rolls a 10, applies strike last, and gets into his general, and does almost 18 damage to his general in between his little host and the club. So I kill off his general, my bottom one, and then the other crossbows in between shooting and charges kill two annihilator units. But unfortunately, I had just barely tagged one of the annihilator units with the 2 banshees, or with the Miramor banshees, and he did just enough damage to kill that set of 4, which cost me my battle tactic that round, which set me back kind of a little bit for the rest of the game, which is what ended up making me need that turn to 4 prio. But then we go for off. He rolls a 2, for prio, and I roll a 6. So I get the double back into him.
Ooh.
During that
So
double,
just a real quick aside, the big thing I've heard so far is that the most important things that you've done up until this point has been your deployment against this list.
yeah,
And his most important thing is the turn one alpha strike just dropping all the damage.
yeah,
And now that you're down a bit, you're down the half your army basically. Your goal is to claw back with what you have, and you immediately clap back with kill his general, take out 2 units of annihilators, and then win the double. Even though you've taken a few pokes that you weren't expecting from losing the Tomb Banshees, you're now at a point where it's okay. Let's try to level the uh, material deficit as much as I can and get my way back in.
yep.
Sounds good. Take it away.
So turn 2, I get the double, I take it, and my immediate thought is I don't want to worry about a 5 top to this turn. I already kind of have one, and I do the the best one that Night Hunt has, and I just say I'm gonna rely on my charge rolls. I'm gonna do Tides of Terror. That means I have to roll a 5 or better on a charge. I have to roll 8 or better on the charge, and I have to roll a 10 or better on the charge. I'm charging with a bunch of units. If I get it, I get it. If not, cool. Um, it's a tactic I had to kind of choose that turn. I wanted to try to focus as much damage as I could. Take it. Unfortunately, my shooting was not nearly as effective as it was turn 1. So all the shots went into a bunch of different units. I cleaned up both the unit of Vanguard's hunters and then one of his heroes. Go to charge. Curse charges. Gets me that 8 first charge. Cool. I've got it. I just have to rely on the 2 other ones. Then the 15 crossbows next to him immediately makes me that 5. Cool. I just have to rely on the 10. And then I go through the rest of my like 8 different units I could charge. And on the second to last one, finally get that 10. I get a 10 into his unit and others are the closest to me, make them strike last, get my battle tactic. But that's when things for the turn kind of ended going right. After that in combat, I had pretty much everything but Kuros whiff. Kuros still killed one of his heroes, bringing him down to 2. And then I killed one other another in combat. Other than that, he had a lot more of his army on the board still than I was expecting, especially since I had Miramor Banshees with 8 attacks at effectively run 5 into a unit of annihilators. Didn't kill them. Gets like 2 hits through. He saves one of them on 6. Cool. He takes it and just drops on the rest of it. Rest of his annihilators on me. Clear off all of my like little baby units are left, and go into combat, leaves me with the 215 blocks, Kuros, a Crusader, and the 2 Manchi. That's really all I have left. He charges Kuros and fights him, and leaves him on 1 wound, which was my really only break on up to.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a pretty big break because I know he doesn't bracket, doesn't have enough. He's not big enough to, so
no,
he's still fighting back at full force.
yeah. So Kuros in anger strikes back and kills the hero that was fighting with him. Um, and we roll prio. We under 3. I get it. I take it again because I give it away. Uh, I guess important thing to note: all 4 units he dropped down that turn failed all their charges, except for the units he already had on the 1 unit he still had on the board. So they're all sitting in the middle, just ready to charge at me. So I have to take it. I get it. I take it. I go, okay, I'm gonna do more out than in. I have it. Um, and just try to get as many units dead. And what ends up happening is Kuros fails to kill 2 others in combat. and then dies to the swing back.
Oof.
He on the attack misses three of the five, and then to wound hits both, and then my opponent quickly turns around and rolls that 6. He needs to ward one of them instead of taking the 6 damage. And then from there, he kills, in his turn, he kills Kuros. He kills one of the 15 blocks and does a lot of damage, leaving the 2-man chum 1 wound. At this point, he has his 1 hero left, and he has the 4 units of Annihilators left. And all I have is a 15 block, a 2-man chum 1 wound, and Crusader that's been kind of poking all game. So he takes his turn, does all the damage he can. I still have those units up. But then we roll the Prio into 4. He gets it and charges and kills everything but about 2 of my crossbows. That's all that was left of the 15 block. And at that point, I couldn't retreat onto any objectives. I couldn't try to steal anything. The only battle tactic I could do, I burnt the turn before, which was more out the end, and I promptly losing the next prio into 5.
So it sounds like you scrapped as well as you could with what you had left, and it's just a couple little things here and there. Kodros missing a kill by 1 armor save and then falling down to the hit back. Even if he immediately dies to a charge after that, it's 1 less unit you've got to deal with, and it's 1 less thing that he's got to charge somewhere else.
Yeah.
I had not realized that his turn 1 alpha strike was in fact still some things left in the sky for round 2. So that's a second wave that I had not originally thought about. So you've got it sounded like it was definitely going to be an uphill battle, and while you did not you ended up losing what sounded like a good army to play against you, a lot of splash damage that hits multiple targets, and that is definitely your weakness. It sounds like you did what you could to give yourself the chances you could, and you made a game out of it. You just needed a couple more things to go your way, and maybe another prio roll.
Yeah. It was definitely a lot closer than I was expecting it to be. When I got that matchup, I was like, okay, I'm done. It does AoE. All I am is MSU. I'm going to die. But really, I did not lose that game except for the 2 point. Like, if I got my battle tactic turn 1, and if I won the prio, um, I would have had enough objectives still to be up on points on the end because I'll still get my grand strat, which is all it really came down to.
I see. Really close game then. So good on you for playing into the counter and keeping your head in it.
Yeah.
So, to both of you, what's your big takeaway from LVO? I know they had some terrain rules that involved being very specific with where things go.
Mhm.
What did you think overall as far as mission selection, the points, how tournament points were done, etc.? What's your takes, guys?
You want to start, Isaac, or do you want me to go?
I'll go. I really enjoyed the terrain map. A lot of my opponents, I would win the attacker defender role, and since I was a weird like 3-drop, it would either be outdropping or outdropped. So I would normally do terrain, and because of how it's laid out, I could very beneficially set terrain for me. Blocking gets from being able to put their shrine in the middle when they would want with terrain or like some other things as well. So I really enjoyed the terrain map. Scoring was definitely new to me because I've done uh, that scoring only once before, but after seeing it day 2, I appreciated it for what it did because it made the games very clear. Um, as much like when maxing you'd have to try to do. I didn't really feed into that. I was kind of just like, cool. If you think you can get it, you can get it. I was just there to have good games and like meet people. I was not really there for maxing out my score. I know my goal was to go 5-0, but I didn't care if I was top or bottom of that. And aside from that, I met some really great opponents. I played a lot of tough crowd, and I met a guy turn or like game three, and that was my KO game that just kind of clicked, and we're just having a fun game, seeing like who could shoot each other off, and it was a really enjoyable event, especially for being my first one out Texas.
That's great. Joe, what are your big takes?
Yeah, so I'm normally pretty against terrain packs. I feel they're normally very limiting on what you can do, but LVO had a very lenient terrain pack. Um, it just ensured that no Thunderdomes were made, and no all the terrain pushed to the outsides of the boards happened. Um, Basically ensured that within the four quadrants of the map, you could assume there would be a piece of terrain and at least a part of a piece of terrain. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. Um, Two defensible, two wildwood, two garrison. I'm sorry, two garrison, two wildwood, two impassable. I think is also a really nice rule to also kind of slap onto the terrain pack. Um,
And then
most,
two was like technically cover two, so that's
yeah,
the last. That's what the last two was, which was nice because it was very structured, which what each
yeah,
piece was.
yeah. So the what was in there was very nice, and then roll dice, determine your mysterious terrain, place those dice where the defender wants them placed. So honestly, I it'd be nice if those were kind of standardized going forward. I think it's a healthy balance of you can't get away with anything too ridiculous, and there's still enough player agency on the defender side to where if you lose that role, you don't feel completely boned.
Okay,
So,
yeah, that's a good compromise. I've always been a little bit iffy on terrain maps, haven't played with them too entirely much. I did like the idea of, as you've mentioned, giving player agency and the ability to give the defender something
mhm,
without making it a free for all. Oh, well, I just don't want to play with terrain because I've got more shooting than you, so I'm just shove this all in the corner and you have nowhere to hide.
yeah, and
Yeah,
that's good.
I appreciated that the mysterious dice was also like the defender places because that's the one thing that kind of like as a defender, if you're setting up and you just do a bad roll and like one side gets all arcane, all mystical, and the other side is like all deadly, you know what the attacker's going to pick,
Yeah.
and you can kind of set it up to be like balanced. Or if you want your opponent to pick a certain side, like interact with it a certain way, so having that helped too.
Mhm. So the train that was really nice. The event was very well ran. I mean, there was some delay issues, but I mean, when you have 350 people playing, um, you know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes here really isn't anything, to be honest. So I think it was an excellently ran event. I struggle to say it's the best event I've been at in terms of like, you know, just quality of event. Texas puts on really good events. Um, Brian Lofton ran the ITC Outlaw GT last year as well, and he put on a really good event. But given what they were working with, I think probably took the most amount of work to make it run as smoothly as it did.
I could see that. All right. So, last question before we wrap up on the singles event. Um, uh, any lessons learned from the list you played? Yeah, I guess Isaac first. Are more crossbows in our future, or was that a one and done kind of thing for you? On to the next show.
I've been debating it, um, just because people have now kind of seen it, so it's kind of lessens. It's like shock and awe effect. But I think I'm gonna still keep playing it. To me, it was a really fun list to run. Just kind of be like, cool, this unit dies. I don't care. And just going forward and like giving that and crossbows are just my pet unit. So I think for the foreseeable future, try to find myself back on a solid either dock list or a effect list. That's probably what I'll be running.
All right. Any modifications or just straight out of the box? No need to change.
I want to experiment with potentially dropping the scripter for a Lady O and kind of have a double like hard hitting. I guess they're closest to like god characters as I get for Night Haunt. Aside from the Gash, I'm just talking about solely Night Haunt. Um, and try that double. It's going to cost me a couple crossbow units, or potentially just a crossbow and a Banshee, but it's something I want to try.
Okay. And Joe, it sounds like it wasn't the best outing for slaves. Is this going to be a back to the drawing board situation, a just get more reps and try it again, or make some small tweaks? Where are you standing on Scarbrand and Friends?
Yeah, so um I think where I landed it on terms of like Knights of the Empty Throne is kind of where most people land at. You know, a healthy amount of Vanguard, some Knights, some Sork Lords, a cultist unit or two for whatever flavor you think you need, and then you see a lot of Bellicors. I prefer Scarbrand. He's just a much more fun model to play for me over Bellicor. I think I need with the list, I think I just need more reps. Um Not within like our local meta. I think I may have developed a couple bad habits, played the same, 10 people over and over again. So, you know, if I stick with slaves, I think I just need to kind of try and play different kinds of lists and, really work on my activations. So, but
Okay,
yeah,
I can see that. Um, uh, so it sounds like not ready to throw in the towel on it yet. And the core of the army for any Knights of the Empty Throne, you're correct. There's going to be Varangard. There's probably going to be Knights, and then choose your big unit. And I will say Bellicor is less fun to play against than Scarbrand because Scarbrand doesn't stop me from doing my cool thing. He just does his big hammer thing too.
yeah. No, I like the list and I want to keep trying it, but um, later tonight we'll see what I'll be playing. uh, you know, upcomingly. So
Got it. Well, guys, thanks for walking us through the singles event. But while these two were busy rolling dice for basically a day and a half straight, there's a lot of other convention and there's a lot of other Vegas outside of that convention. Lexi,
Yeah,
talk to me. You went up there and you didn't play any games, to my knowledge, right?
I
AOS or
did.
anything else?
No, I did not play any games. Well, because I have to, grind my teeth on Sylvanet this year, but that's fine. We got this.
Did you get any
So
demos of anything else? Because I know there's a bunch of different game systems up there.
I know that Chad looked and was looking at the Blood Throne or something like that. So,
the
and
Kickstarter for F Frontline Gaming, their game.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so I more spent time like painting. Like I actually got to test out the new Fnatic like army paints while I was there. I spent almost a whole round on Sunday of doubles just painting with those paints with the like prototypes of the like Blood Throne. So I got to see like a lot of everything. And then we got to talk to different people and like Uncle Adam was there like talking and then like Kate, who's one of the owners, like was there and she was just like, oh my God, I have to like get a picture because she's like, there's no girls all the time painting. And I was like, I mean, I was literally sitting next to little Marathi while I was there. So I mean,
That's great. So, did you take classes for painting too? Do they offer those there? I know they have those at Adepticon. I assume they have them at LVO.
they did have them, but I decided against it just because at this point I need to practice and do it a little bit more. But yeah, basically all of Friday we went out. All the Warhammer waifus went out, and did Vegas. We started at Mandalay Bay and did the shark aquarium. So that was a lot of fun. And then basically went through all of the bottom part of the strip playing Little Shop of Horrors with Megan. I think we hit every single one while we were on our way. And then I brought little Kindling with us. I painted him right before we left, the baby Magnadroth. So
Aw,
he's in all kinds of pictures when we post them.
that's great. Where is he from? Is that from a warband or Underworlds?
That's the new warband, I think. I think it's the Flame Seekers. I don't
Got
know.
it.
Yeah, the Fire Slayer Flame Seekers come with a Kindle Roth.
That's great. Oh, that's adorable. So he made it all over Vegas. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was loads of fun.
Well, cool. So it sounds like you got a good tour of the city, some good quality painting time to focus on that. So you made the event interesting and still war game themed, but also just did some Vegas stuff.
Yeah, and then I brought the rest of the pro acrylic line, so now we're complete for the house.
Excellent. So one of the other big advantages of these big conventions is that you do get a lot of vendors out there. I know at Adepticon, I've seen basically anything related to wargaming is going to have a booth out there. I've seen Crystal Fortress. I've seen Badger Airbrush. I've seen Battle Foam, and just being able to pick up accessories for the hobby is handy, and being able to see what's out there all in one big snapshot is nice too.
Yeah, it was really interesting to see all the stuff laid out and seeing it all like visually in front of you instead of just on the computer screen.
Yeah, getting to get scale for everything instead of trying to look at the digital image. The double-edged sword of purchasing everything online. It's super convenient, but you've only got what images they decided to give you to work off of.
Exactly. And paints are the hardest because you don't realize what colors you have. I don't think we've bought any of the paints that we had because I think the other stuff we bought at Battle Pub. So I think physically we bought most of our paints.
Got it. Yeah, especially because you have to worry about the differences in what your monitor looks like at that point, right? Just the
Yeah.
coloration or tint that you might have there can throw off what a paint looks like and what it gets when you're out of the pot. If you're right there, you mix it up and shake it, and oh, that's what color it is.
Yeah. So it was kind of nice to see that. And there was a demo for pro acrylics and the gentleman was painting off to the side with their wet palette. So you could see the actual colors.
Oh, that's perfect. Well, that's great. Um, uh, Anything else to add? Anything you'd like to add?
We got Joe drunk on, what was it, Friday night?
I wasn't drunk. I was
Uh,
loose.
you were drunk.
I was loose.
That's Joe's first time in Vegas, so we had to do it correct.
Nice. Sounds like one way to take the edge off of a rough first day at the tournament, right?
Hmm.
Right?
Well, cool. That sounds like a lot of fun. Oh, and I heard that Jeff's birthday party was out there, correct?
Oh yeah, Saturday was so much fun. We went to the Beast, I'm not mistaken, and we're in
At
the back
Area
room.
15.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but I have to say the best part of LVO was Jeff's birthday because we got to go to Meow Wolf too. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, and taking Jeff through that, he was just like, "Why are we doing this? This is just like a supermarket. Why are you taking me through a supermarket?" And it's like there's so much more probably to see.
That's great. Yeah, I remember uh, James West and a couple others talking about their trip up through there a year or two ago.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that was really fun.
Yeah,
That's great.
it was very cool. Omega Mart is a interactive like art display meets escape room meets
Exhibition.
X-Files, you know? Probably the best way I could put it. It's very cool.
That's basically the explanation I've been given, and I have no further context than that. So thank you for at least explaining that much. Where I'm like, I know it sounded really cool when it was when I had someone walk through what exactly it was, but I also only half understood it because that's the kind of explanation that it sounds like that kind of medium needs without spoiling the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, you,
that
you just gotta go see it.
Yeah, you definitely just have to go see it. It's something actually worth seeing.
mhm.
Understood. Well, great. Sounds like you had a great trip as well. Anything else to add there?
Mm.
All right. Thanks, Lexi. Well, I think with that, we'll take the second big focus of the chat here. Let's talk about the doubles event. On that was, I believe, Sunday, right? Friday,
Y-
Saturday was singles. Sunday was
Yep.
doubles.
Yes.
Okay. So once again, we've got Joe who was teaming up with Eli, who would have been happy to be on this call here if he had any capability to speak at all tonight.
Oh,
Eli had the tournament you expected that man to have, and he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
yep. He lost his
Um,
voice.
I'll start us off. Isaac started the last time, so I'll start off here. So doubles was me and Eli. Eli was on Slan, Starseer, Lizard with Stick and Banner, um, whatever that guy's called.
Astral Affair.
Yeah, that guy. 2 units of Skink Raptidons. So 1,000 points there. Maelstrom and Gravetide. Maelstrom's important. So I brought Belladama, 30 dire wolves, 40 zombies, corpse cards, fellbats. So I stood in front of Eli. Eli casted spells. That was the game plan. So our first game was against AOS Rules Lady. I want to say Madeline, but I know that's not her name. She's I thought she was a Wednesday cosplayer, to be honest, but that's not right. But yeah, oh, there we go. Madigan. Uh, she's on Coach's server. Um, very nice lady, and I think her significant other, at the very least, they argued like it. So they were on OBR and Nurgle. We ended up losing that match. Lord Contagion with a floor up ward, turning off command points, and OBR got into us very early on. And by the time we managed to get them off of us, um, in factoring in the arcane recursion, um, the Nurgle had just amassed enough summoning points to just maintain control of the rest of the board for the rest of the game. So that is that's how that game went. We both had very similar game plans. Um, they just had better wards than us. Throughout it, they were kind of a melee focused. We were spell dom, and they just kind of outwarded us there early on to kind of get that early advantage. So we ended up losing that game. I probably made a big misplay. I moved some wolves off of an objective, which allowed like 13 plague bringers, poxwalker, nurgled zombies to get
Plague
on that
bearers.
objective. Yeah, those guys. Um, and I was never going to get that back from them, not with wolves. So that probably contributed to us losing that game pretty badly. So Eli's right. They were fantastic. Really fun to play against. Very cool. Very down to have fun. But it was a sloggy match. Our second game was against Skaven and Korn. Um, it was Blood Crushers, a bunch of Reavers, and a Boomthirster. And the other one was 6 Storm Fiends, some Rats, and Warlock. Eli killed the Warlock top of 1. Because that's what Seraphon does. And we basically made like a Hot Gates kind of scenario with the 2 impassable pieces of terrain and the Realm Shaper engine kind of stuck in the middle of it. So I throw a bunch of zombies and dogs in. I walk Belladama up behind it. and I bring the corpse card up. Highlight of that match, I think, was Boom Thirster got in, boomed all over the place. I think he probably did 30 mortal wounds when he boomed off.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah, I mean there was like 3 units of dogs, zombies, belladama. I think the slan got caught in the boom as well.
Ooh, so something that actually, some real damage happened there too, and not just, oh yeah, I killed a bunch of dogs and a model that warded it all off the dogs. Anyway,
Yeah. Um. So it was a lot of fun there. Boom Thirster got slapped by zombies until it died. Um, Maelstrom just kept exploding all over the place. I think Eli killed as many of my models as he did other people's models with Maelstrom, but it was awesome.
yeah, I mean, again, if it's zombies and direwolves, it's okay if they take a little bit of collateral damage. They're doing their job. They're up front soaking.
Yeah. Um, I successfully detonated skulls with Belladama on purpose, so the Slain didn't have to risk that because you know he was going to die to that.
Yep, fair enough.
But other than that, I mean, it was a really good game. They had to go. Eli and I did not play a third game. We were both very interested in finals between Jeremy and Gavin. So we decided after that first game and the second game, we'd had enough doubles and it was time to watch some Warhammer be played.
Got it. Makes sense. So, just a real quick cliff notes. My understanding is that was a city's mirror, correct?
Yes. I actually want to talk to you a little bit about that later to get your opinion on those lists.
Got it. We can take care of that one offline. Let's focus on what y'all did here. So good to hear that you had two fun games and then got to see the top table play without causing disruption. Just drop before your last round and don't get paired, and you're good to go. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, or with that taken care of, Isaac, let's hear what you and Megan were up to.
So we brought Doc and Beast of Chaos. So the Doc side of that was an Iron Seal to make the Shooty Sinks battle line, and then 15 of those, and then 9 Shadow Stalkers, another 9 Shadow Stalkers, and then the best spell in the game, the Snake.
Absolutely. I saw a few pictures of that Blood Rack Viper doing Blood Rack Viper things.
It ate a entire unit of the Nurgle mortals. Um,
Uh,
so so
Blight
ate
Kings?
yeah
Holy shit.
over just over 2 activations.
Wow.
So it got its points worth that game for sure.
Just roll well.
Yeah, just roll well. Megan rolled well.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I brought kind of like the okay, she's gonna shoot. I'm gonna hit you as hard as I can, as fast as I can. So I brought 2 Great Bray Shamans, which if you didn't know, off the board I can do more wounds 18 inches off the board too. So it's very great for in doubles trying to pick off your opponent's hero and just be like, you're dead. Um, and then they also, one of them was my general with Beast of Cunning, so I can bring down a nice 6 block of Borgors 7 inches away from you. They have a +2 to charge. It's a 5 inch charge into whatever I want. And then the other one had a Brave Blast Trumpet, so I get to summon Tingors. I do that every game. Other parts of the list was a unit, 2 units of Ungors, get that battle line tax, and then 2 Tuscore Chariots and a Great Tide. Tuscore Chariots on the charge, do mortals on a 4 equals into the charge roll if it's into a 1 or 2 wound models. Other than that, they do mortals on the charge. They're a okay unit in combat, and they're just a lot of units. Yeah, but that's kind of our 2 lists. It kind of worked to be shoes in the back, I was in the front, taking all the damage, trying to do a bunch of damage before I died. Um, so every game except for our last game, she did not have a single unit die.
All
But
right.
most
Well, that's
most
a good
most
sign.
yeah, most of my
So
army was dead.
I think I see Megan asking in the chat for you to skip to game 3 and talk about that one.
We will talk about game 3 in a second. That was a fun game. But game 1 was against Zinch and the Trug uh, Army of Renown. So he gets to do his little burst to everything. Um, we just kind of ground them out. That game is on ice fields, so doing a couple of sneaky paladins and whatnot, we made them drop a couple of battle tactics and won. Game 2, we played against Jeremy Aaron from Collector Mafia. Um, they were running also Beast and Nurgle. And that was a really fun game. I actually made a dice bet with the other Beast player. We both put down dice and we're like, all right, whoever wins the game gets to keep both the dice. And kind of have a fun game that way. We both rolled the most important prio to both of us, and that's the prio into 2. Since Beast has to drop all the models by turn 2, basically whoever won the prio is going to kill the other one's bulgars. I win the prio, give the turn away, he drops his bulgars down, my bulgars drop down, and go kill his bulgars. And then from there, we kind of clean up the rest of the army. Snake eats 5 Light Kings, and goes and stomps the Hearthstone to deny their Grand Strat.
Yeah, that's a hell of an 80-point spell.
Yeah, it did more than its 80 points that game.
Okay, did it
And
drop again? It's down to like 70 or 60 or something. I forget.
it's
Snake is
60.
like 60.
Yeah, it's ludicrously cheap and
It's so
amazing.
cheap now.
Mhm.
But then we go to game 3. In game 3, I was trying to look at who we're fighting, and all I see is the name, and the name is 5 models TC. I go, okay, what could this possibly be? Open it up. It's 2 Gargants and 3 uh, ogres on either one with a thunder tusk and the 2 Stormhorns.
Okay. Fair enough. You knew what they were doing. They had a plan. They're just gonna live the meme. They've got big and they got bigger.
Yeah, so
Weird and
they
which way, Spencer? Oh. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
do I
Hello,
sound good?
this is Matt.
Sorry. Sorry, everybody. It appears Discord blew up.
Only temporarily.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So Chad, who is disembodied voice number 2, introduced himself as disembodied voice number 2, as though the chat was trying to learn who this new person was. But in fact, only we can hear him. Or
Right.
I'm hallucinating. One of the two. Okay, I think we're up and running again. Thank you, Pitgrot. Techgrot?
That's Sharegrot.
Chairgrot, yes.
Pitgrot lives on the couch.
True. Okay. All right. So it sounds like we're up and running again. Isaac,
Cool.
you were talking your game 3. A bunch of you set us up with you're staring down 2 Mega Gargants, 3 mounted ogres, 2 of which are stone horns, one's a thunder tusk. Take it away.
Yep. So we do the roll off. We lose the roll off. So they take attacker, so they can pick. They can pick who goes first. So if we deploy too aggressive, they're just gonna come and kill everything we have. if we deployed to passively, we're gonna do nothing, and they're just gonna be full health still. But that gave me terrain, so I put all the terrain I possibly could in the middle in tight, narrow lanes, and made it so that they couldn't deploy any of their big guys right on the line. Because that was a part two of this. It's the no risk without reward, so that you could deploy pretty much right on that line into your opponent's territory. So my initial goal was, let's not let them do that, because they can just go and charge us and we'll die. So I set up the terrain a way that prohibited them from really sending on a lot of objectives at once with a Gargant, and made it so they had to kind of go around the middle to get to us, and then just deployed all my poor Unglers as screens for uh, the dollars that came behind them, who would just die if they got immediately hit. And then they give us one. I just move forward, take an objective. We get magical dom because I have my Great Bray in the corner. I have the Great Bray off the board, pull back one of the stone horns 8 inches, so it's all in the back, and not as useful. We're also playing against Teresa and not Noah. Noah went to go watch the game, so one of the other top crowds filled in for him. Um, and get went to their turn. And immediately we get charged, and I lose all but 3 of my Ungors, and then my Shaman in the back. Uh, we lose 1 unit of Shadowstalkers too, but we still control 2 objectives, and they are only on 2 objectives. So we roll off for Prio. We go into turn 2. We win Prio, and we both look at each other like we can't stay on our own side anymore. So immediately we do what our armies were designed for. Everything except for the 2 heroes on that side teleport to their side of the board, away from where all those big scary monsters are.
Oh,
Anything
so
that
Calibron teleport and a bunch of Shadow Stalkers and just get out of there.
Yep. Anything that could also went into corners. So we had a unit of Shadow Stalkers in a corner. We had a unit of Gores in a corner. We had pretty much the rest of our army in their territory now. I get to drop down my Borgers. They go in charge and they just annihilate the Thunder Tusk. Because I was like, it has no ward, it should die. I don't lose any in the return fire, and then we go into their turn 2. And what I expected to happen kind of happened. The giant turn around, charge the Bulgars, and then the other Stonehorn turn around and charge into the screen of Shadowstalkers, and then do the 3d6, got into the Bowsanks behind them. And threw all the rocks, all the breasts, all the vultures at us, and they killed one of my heroes, and they did a couple other things. But they had the snakes on lockdown. They had killed about 3 units that turn. But once again, importantly, they're only themselves on 2 objectives, and we still held 2. So
So your strategy of teleport wasn't just evade them because they'll still be able to get there eventually. It's if you want to do something meaningful and hit our army, you're going to play off the objectives and leave the hold to status quo.
yeah, well, they would always hold more than us, but by them only being on 2, it means on our turn we aren't going to kill anything to hold more. We just send something to the middle, send some unit to like run and go to the middle. So that's what happened. Turn 3, we get it. I immediately run my chariot into the middle and block it so that they can't get on the objective. We do, I believe, more out the end. that turn and make it so that you know we're not near there. And then that turn, we were looking at their pot that they had down, and we were like, okay, there's enough room for an iron scale behind this pot. And in order to charge, you have to be within half an inch. If we put the iron scale back there, she can't be charged. So that's what we did. We put the iron scale behind the pot so that all that they could do was throw rocks at her. They could throw all the rocks, but they could never charge her. And then we relocated everything else into other corners. And at the bottom or midway into turn 3, they controlled the middle. We controlled all 4 corners with at least 1 unit and 3 objectives. Getting our battle tactic and still getting 5. So at this point, we look at each other and go, okay, maybe we can win this because we still have 15 points. We have not dropped a battle tactic or a hold more. They go charge around some more. They do surround and destroy that turn. They kill. Um, they kill off the last Ungors. They kill off the chariot in the middle. They kill off my last hero. And the most importantly, the Stonehorn that's engaged with the Bloodstalkers keeps whiffing. It's been engaged for about three turns at this point. Has only killed about half of them. So we have one the models on lockdown. The other 2 are having other 3 at that point are charging around.
Okay, I've
And
seen Stonehorns do that before. They seem to either obliterate what they hit or just whiff and they don't do anything. It seems like
yeah,
there's no middle ground for that unit. I don't know why. It's
and
not like it has a small number of attacks either.
yeah, it's a bunch of like berry attacks, but it's either like 3s and 4s or like 4s and 3s. So it kept being like she would get one of them the hits go through and the wounds would fail or no hits, one or the other. But we also realized turn 3 that their grand strat was slaughter sorcery, but one of their gargants was a wizard. So
So
all we
all
had
you
to
have to do is not kill that
not kill the
gargant.
wizard, not kill the wizard, and we put them down by 3 points. So we go into turn 4, and we get the prio again. We say, cool. I have a tactic. I still have my last gore unit at 10 models. There's a beast battle tactic that all they have to do is go stand on an objective that they used to hold. So we do that. That's all we do that turn. My gores teleport, get that objective. Cool. We get another 4 points. We're only down by 1 because we're gonna get 5, but we're still only down by 1. We go into round 5. They finally win the prio. They take it, and since our grand strat was bloodthirsty zealots, so everything had to fight or die, they take it and just don't kill the iron scale because she hasn't fought. They get another 5 points. We go into turn. All we have to do is, I think this is the turn we did intimidate. The turn 2 must have been surround and destroy. So we do intimidate. We have like 2 shadow stalkers in the back that all they need to do is survive. All we need to do is charge the iron scale and the 10 gores. We get our grand strat. We go 25 to 25, and we'll get a minor win because we got our grand strat and they didn't. Um, then we go to charges. Gores make their charge, and then we go to the iron scale. Megan rolls a 6, re-rolls it, and rolls another 6. So then we fail our grand strat, and then we just lose by 3.
Oh
But
no.
it was an incredibly close game. That the entire game, all they controlled was the corners, and they controlled the rest of the board. So it was an extremely fun game of like cat and mouse. Like, how long can we survive these big models and still score points? Which happened to be a lot longer than we thought we could because we could just teleport everywhere.
So actually using the mobility instead of realizing that you can't win the grind and pivoting it to say, well, what if our game plan doesn't require a grind? What if we can choose things that we actually get rewarded for not killing and leave them alone and just make them come to us and hide in the corner and slow the bleeding?
Yeah. Like, cool, we're losing units every turn. But every time they kill one of us, that's the objective they're leaving behind. That we can go sacrifice another unit, send another unit to go get.
Got it. And you also had, as you pointed out, the interesting spot where you actively were trying to lose units for your grand strategy or get them into combat. That works too.
Yeah,
But realistically, they needed to avoid your units fighting, and you wanted to avoid killing some of theirs to deny their grand strategy. It's a very odd place to be in where your goal is, in fact, to suicide your units and make sure their units can't do the same.
yeah. We wanted to die, they wanted to not, and that's what kind of it came down to.
Got it. Well, yeah, that definitely sounds like a very interesting and very techy game. Good on you two for finding a way to keep your foot in the door right up until the window closes on one not entirely long shot roll, just finally sealing the deal.
Yep.
Well, all right. So, what did y'all? Thank you for the recap. Thank you for the deep dive into that game. Let's just do a quick wrap up on doubles. What do y'all take away from playing in doubles? Was it fun? Was it more or less fun than the singles GT? Different kind of fun. Um, uh, Joe, you've had a break. What do you think on those?
Uh, when it comes to doubles, I think it's probably the best format for playing games with people. Um, it's just, for the most part, not always, uh, a chill environment where you and three other people are supposed to just have some fun. And I think it's a nice break from the typical play style of AOS. I know not everyone likes doubles, but I like doubles. And I'd like to do more doubles.
Got it, Isaac. What about you?
I really enjoyed the doubles. It was the most like not they were definitely like challenging, but like, it was like relaxed. Like it was just having fun. Our last two games were really against some really great opponents. Um, Getting to just joke around with someone who's also playing like the same half the list that you were, and then just having fun um, with your opponents and just having a great time was very easy with doubles. We had a little gore mascot in our last game too, who rode a storm around while the rest of the units died. Um, and then it was just a blast to play. I definitely want to do it again next year. Um, if my partner doesn't get stolen away,
I think she might actually be stolen away.
I think so.
Right. Well, what do you think about playing the two events back to back? Was that exhausting? Too much Warhammer? Would you prefer them the other order? Either of you have a preference on that?
I was fine with the amount of games. I feel like possibly my only like point was like that first game of doubles. Um, just because our opponents were okay. We had a couple issues to start the game. I was going like, okay, this is another day of Warhammer.
Mhm.
But as soon as we got into that second game, like it was like a second wind. I was happy to be playing, and it was a blast. So the amount of games for me were fine. Having them back to back was good as well because I felt like it kept me fresh. Especially since I switched armies, it didn't feel like I was playing the same thing either.
Mhm.
So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I think Isaac got it there. We both played different armies than what we did in singles, which was a huge refresher. A lot of people are just kind of left making up 1,000 points out of whatever they happen to bring. So that probably went a long way for making sure our games were a little bit more fresh.
It sounds like taking that second event more casually then also helped because it sounded like your first game turned into a fairly competitive game, whether you liked or not. And things, to Isaac's point at least, the second and third ones where it was not, you know, going easy on the opponents or anything like that, but taking a step back and focusing on having fun with the game rather than trying to nickel and dime your way to a victory, right?
Yeah, no. Um, I would have liked doubles to start at 10. That would have been nice. But, it started at 9.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was like, it would be so nice if it started later.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can
And
definitely see day 3. It doesn't matter what you're playing, an extra hour of sleep appreciated,
right.
especially since we're changing time zones here.
yeah, it was, my alarm bell rang. I was like, oh, I have to get up. Like I can't keep sleeping because I need to go to this. I need to get coffee, and but as soon as you got to the hall, it was like, cool, let's do this.
Mhm.
I guess actually, if you're going that way, that would be yes, the day would start earlier, right? No, East Coast is the day starts earlier. West Coast,
It
you
would
actually
start,
got an extra.
yeah, it would start later. I
So,
couldn't,
so the travel was actually working in your favor, not the other way around.
yeah, but
I
it
mean,
didn't help that I couldn't sleep in Vegas either. So like, it didn't really matter for
I
me.
think anybody slept well in Vegas,
I
to be
did.
honest.
I I kept just randomly waking up at like 5, 4 in the morning and be like, okay, I'm up now.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
because our time
that's
zone was different.
Yeah,
that's where our time zone was working against us.
Got it. Trying to sleep is a problem. I see. Okay. Jet lag's jet lag, whether or not it gets you an hour of sleep or takes it away. Makes
Right.
sense. Well, all right. I think let's go ahead and wrap this up a little bit. Y'all have a good trip.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Oh yeah. S- Spencer had like dudes on scaffolding at 4 o'clock in the morning, like outside their window, like working.
Oh,
Oh
that was
no.
oh yeah, they were telling us about it, and then like me and Megan were getting ready to go on Friday, and I was like, "Oh, I think there's someone out there." And I opened it. I was like, "Oh, look, they're back." And she's like, "Good."
Oh no. That's awful.
Yeah, pretty fun. So
Yeah, that's rough. Did they say just like did you guys get hit like multiple times? It sounds like from chat you guys got hit multiple times. Was it just like every morning or was it at least later in the day when it was obnoxious but not preventing you from sleeping?
So, from my understanding, it was like that one time early in the morning. The next time it happened, they were already kind of up and about. But just kind of a weird experience where it's like, what's that noise at my window? I'm on the 18th floor. Oh, it's four dudes cussing at each other at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah. So I'd be a little surprised opening my window to see that.
No kidding.
A little? I mean, a lot.
I mean, it was Vegas. I was prepared.
You were
Fair.
not prepared. You didn't sleep well either.
No, not prepared to sleep.
Chad didn't
So
sleep because of your snoring. You didn't sleep because of the
hey,
bed.
Chad didn't sleep because he's weak constitution.
Well, it sounds like a couple hiccups on the flight home and a couple hiccups on the uh, outside the window, surprisingly outside the window on the 18th floor. Aside from that, trip was fun. It sounds like y'all enjoyed the convention. My next
Mhm.
question is, would y'all be looking to go back next year?
for sure.
Absolutely.
Like
Yeah.
this was my first out of state tournament I've been to. Um, and I really enjoyed it, and that made me want to go travel more, especially since I got to play against new people. Um, so I'm definitely looking at going to another tournament out of state, probably sooner than LVO, just because I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah. No,
Awesome.
I definitely want to go back. We met Don from Star City Games from Vault Wars. Some of his people came up from Missouri. So it was like, wait a minute, I saw you guys, somewhere else in the world. So it's really cool getting to meet people that you've seen elsewhere. So no, I wanna do it again.
Well, yeah, we saw Coach too.
Oh my God. So I had never realized how tall YouTubers are. Okay. Like Uncle Adam's a giant, Duncan's huge.
Are
Like,
they tall
yeah,
or are you just short?
yeah.
Joe is just short.
Coach is beautiful. Like, no, it's really weird. Like, I was talking about it. It's like, you watch these people for like, you develop parasocial relationships with these YouTubers.
Oh,
And then you're
yes.
just like, hey, dude, how are you? Can I hug you? And they're like, please don't touch me. And then you get really forceful, and then you end up hugging Duncan.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
That's Joe. So my last, so it sounds like the goal is not so much just yes, I would go back to LVO as the lesson is yes, I would go to tournaments outside of state. And LVO happening to be a tournament outside of state will solve the what are we doing next year question next year. But the tournament was fun. Probably going to go back. Might go someplace else before then. There's Adepticon. We've got Vault Wars. There's Everwinter. Take your pick. There's a lot of big events in the country, and they're not all in Texas. Though
Yeah.
the ones in Texas are a lot easier to get to for us.
Is that a segue? I feel like that's a good segue.
That is a good segue.
Yeah,
Ah,
you should also fix your camera too.
Oh, yeah, the cat's gone.
Yeah, the
No.
cat is gone.
Now we get to look at not fun thing, me.
so there is a little bit of a segue there in terms of we do have the Lone Star GT is going to be the next local event that we have coming up here. That's going to be out in Dallas, and that is the first weekend of March. So we will definitely be setting up for that. And then I believe after that we have Smash and Bash coming up, which Jeff's in the chat. He might remember the days. I just remember I'm supposed to TO it probably.
Right?
I think you're a judge, but we'll decide that later.
TO, Jeff, what or Judge, whatever. I'm gonna be running around yelling rules at things. Jeff TO, me Judge. One of those is something or another. I can't talk. I guess my last question I've got is having gotten that plug out for Matt Taylor's event up in Dallas and our event here in Austin. My last question is, um, uh, two of you guys played in two events, and it sounds like your answer is yes. I would do a singles and double event back to back, no problem. Lexi, when are you going to play in a GT?
My goal is Vault Wars, but we'll see. Because it'll be my birthday weekend if they do it the same weekend they did this year. So
Well, that's awesome. You thinking singles or doubles there?
singles. Well,
All
probably
right.
both. I don't think they did doubles though.
No,
Cool.
it'll be a singles event.
Yeah, I thought it was singles.
Well, glad to hear it. All right. I think that's all the questions I've got for everybody. And somewhat miraculously, my estimate of can we do this in 90 minutes, we're at 88 right now.
Ooh, baby.
That's great. Oh, we get to segue into the fun part where Joe gets to play for Lone Star.
But before we segue into that, thank you everyone for watching. If you haven't already, please follow us on Twitter. There's handles for that. And we're also starting up our Insta where we're going to be uploading all of our LVO pictures and hobby pictures going forward. So that will be a fantastic place to kind of keep up to date with what we're doing behind the scenes as well as in front of the scenes, in the scenes. Would that be in the scenes? Something like that.
In focus? I don't know.
In focus?
Jeff is also saying May 18th and 19th for Smash and Bash, probably.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so for people that don't know or anyone that's joining us, there was a bet made that I could not paint my slaves army in a week leading up to LVO. Ultimately, I failed that bet. I was about 30 minutes shy of what I needed to be. I had everything painted, but I didn't have the bases finished. So that's an L for me. So
as a guy who's been kind of incidentally following all this and wasn't actually aware of anything, all I knew was there were pictures of Joe painting models and a clock ticking down, and now there's wheels. Can you please explain the terms of the bet here because I still don't know.
I want to.
So
No,
the
let me do this. Let me do this. This was so amazing.
we will
because
spin the wheel. Oh god, here it is.
the best part is that they were all trying to bet that Joe would not finish painting his army, And that meant that Jeff would have to paint a dwarf, and Spencer and everybody else would have to paint a dwarf because he got to play Fire Slayers. So we will see how this actually goes.
So,
Yes.
so hang on here. The gamble is either Joe paints an entire army for not finishing, or everyone else involved paints a single model for him.
Mhm.
Well,
And you agreed to these terms.
well, the army had to get painted anyway, Matt. It's not like I wasn't going to be doing it. I looked at it as a free opportunity to make Jeff paint a model that he was going to hate.
And we found out why he hates dwarves.
Fair enough. Okay, so there's the context on what's going on. Thank you for finally filling me in because I've just been kind of curious the whole time.
Now, there are a couple armies missing from the wheel, particularly armies that I enjoy playing, so you can kind of guess what is here. Tonight, we're just going to see what army we land on. Tonight we're going to see what army we land on. I think in our next stream we will fill out the units and the allies and everything. We just want to give our wheel makers an opportunity to, make the wheels. So I guess here we are. Chair Grot, spin that wheel. God, please no destruction. I hate destruction so much.
Let's go.
No. Oh.
Well, great news. You only have to learn like 3 war scrolls and 1 page of rules.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
amazing. This is
I
so
hate
great.
Sun so much. I hate Sun so much.
This is amazing.
It also has options for some of the worst allies, because there will be 400 points of allies, or as many as we can stuff in as possible.
You went from like tiny dudes to big dudes.
What are you talking? They have the best allies.
There's that one Gloomspike gets warband, right?
Which is
That
the best ally for them.
that would be
Yes.
neat. But so there we go. We will be making up the wheels on which Mega Gargants I'll be taking, which tribe I'll be taking.
Oh, you think you're playing megas? I'll give you nothing but littles.
I'm so excited to play Broad Stomp with no Broad. I think that'll be fun.
It's gonna be great because the dwarf's not playing dwarves.
Right. All right. So there we go. It's Suns. I hate it. So oh my god. Ally in and Ally Gargant. God damn it. Ah, I couldn't imagine. I would hate getting Bundo in Suns.
That would be that would be a thing, all right.
Right. Okay. So our next stream, I do not believe is next week. I believe it is the following week. So that will be the 6th. And we've been working with Dimitri to try and make that an old world stream.
Mhm.
So, AOS Old World on the 6th. As long as there's no scheduling conflicts, we'll have that hammered out for certain here in the next couple days, and we'll make sure to get Twitter posts about that going up. So, yay, Old World. What do you mean, EU Old World? Yay, Old World. But yeah, so thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I just want to say the support is fantastic. We had great viewers. And
It's Warhammer the Old World, not AOS Old World.
what are you
AOS.
talking?
That's what Spencer said.
Ugh, fine. Warhammer the Old World. We all know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Do we?
Right.
Well,
All right.
all right. Lexi, gentlemen, thank you for letting me interview you tonight. And everybody in chat, thanks for joining us. I hope you all enjoyed the show. As Joe's already mentioned, our next stream is looking like probably 2 weeks out. We'll focus on Old World. And then from there, we'll start getting back to Age of Sigmar streams, hopefully every other week. we'll keep you posted. Keep an eye on the socials. Uh, Anybody else have any closing comments?
I do.
And they hear the chair grot. Can you guys hear the chair grot?
Yeah, the chair grot might be talking.
Yes, they can actually hear me now. So this is the chair grot. I've been the one fixing the stuff in the background. Hopefully you guys didn't notice. I know who we are raiding tonight. We are going to raid Heroes Brush Hour. So once we get over there, y'all be sure to give a great big wah once you get in the chat. Say hi and, hang around for a little bit.
Yeah. But yes, please, everyone, make sure follow, like us on social medias. That goes a long way for pushing the all-powerful, omnipotent algorithm.
All right. Well, that's all we've got. Take us away, Chair Grot.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
And let me get over to the end screen. Where's the end card? Where is it? There it is. And
Bye.